Well, I'm excited to have with me today Terence Lester of Love Beyond Walls. Welcome, Terence.
Hey, thank you for having me. So grateful to be on this podcast and this call with you.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining me. I wanted to give you a chance to share a little bit about Love Beyond Walls. I know just getting to know you a little bit over the website and excited to get your new book. I wanted to find out about what is Love Beyond Walls and tell me even how your family is involved.
Yeah, that's a great question. Love Beyond Walls is an organization that focuses primarily on affirming the dignity of those who are experiencing homelessness and poverty by providing a voice, because oftentimes people's voices are silenced when they're living on the margins. We provide visibility because people who are poor in this country are oftentimes invisible. We do sheltering services, also providing community. Community is really important to us because of the social exclusion piece for people without homes or living on the streets in the United States of America. We also do grooming and support services just to help people achieve self-sufficiency. And I would like to say that my family is involved because we are moved by our faith to be on the mission of God in providing compassion and the love of God towards those who are overlooked. And my wife and I, we do everything together. Including our kids. Our kids have been involved with our organization since my daughter was like, I don't know, 11 months old. So she was thrust into the idea of what it means to be a servant leader at a very young age, and so has my son. And we've seen the fruit of that, right? That by creating service as a lifestyle for our family, that our children have adopted the heart of God in wanting to serve others. And I like to say this, man. Me and my wife, we don't treat service like a punishment. We don't use it as punishment. We don't have to, correct our kids by dragging them down to the soup kitchen. Service is a core value of who we are as a family, because it's a core value of Jesus, right? And so by modeling that, service then becomes a normal rhythm. It's like going to the store. It's like going to the movies. It's like playing a game. It's like serving. It's a part of who we are. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's beautiful. How old are your kids now?
Yeah, my daughter is 11 years old. She'll be 12 in May. She's kind of bummed because she may not be able to have a party. And my son just turned 9 in January. And they're the greatest children ever. I don't know how they'll be in their teen years, but right now we love them dearly, and we're just excited about who they're becoming.
Well, I had some good advice. My kids are 20 and 17. Somebody told me when they were turning into those teen years, hang out with them every time they want to, because they're not going to want to as much. And whenever they want to, it's usually not when you're ready for it. And, that's been true. And when we've spent time with the kids, one of them wants to hang out or go to the mall, right? This is, before they could drive, right? When we were starting a movie, if inevitably one of them want to go to the mall, but it was on that trip to the mall, we'd have a great conversation about what was happening in life. Well, I love their enthusiasm for what you're doing, serving those without a home, and even the story to me that was fascinating to discover is they actually said, along with your wife, they gave you their blessing to live as if you were homeless several years ago. Tell us about that. What was that like?
Yeah, that's actually when we were first starting the organization. It's been up and running for about a little over 6 years now.
Mm.
And the very first awareness campaign that I did was living as a person experiencing homelessness. We had been forging relationships with individuals living behind buildings or in
Mm.
shelters. And one day, one of my friends named Kurt, he challenged me I asked him a question over a 3 month period. I was like, Kurt, man, let me get you into a shelter. I know some people that would be willing to assist you. And for the first time, he shared with me his story, and he told me how he lost his wife and his child
Mm,
in a bad car accident. He used alcohol to cope, could no longer function at work,
mm,
slowly began to downward spiral, and ended up behind this building. And then he looks at me and he says, "There's a shelter not too far away from here. It's over 400 men that sleep in this one room, and it's only one urinal, and the smell is so thick you can taste it." He says, "I bet you if you were to stay there for a night, you'll probably be out here with me because it's more comfortable out here behind this building with all of this trash than it
mm,
is in the shelter." And it got me thinking. And on the drive home, I was pondering Mark chapter 10, verse 45, where it says, "For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many." Got me thinking about how Christ literally came to earth to walk in our shoes, right? And when I got home, I had this look on my face, and my wife asked me what was going on, and I say, I think I want to walk in the shoes of people experiencing homelessness, similar to how Christ did for us. And she says, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to. I think I'm thinking about living out on the streets." And before you knew it, man, my wife was on board, and a couple months later, she was dropping me off
Wow.
around Christmas in December
Mm,
2013. And I remember looking at my kids in the face, and they were asking me would I be homeless. But in this act, my wife was and I was modeling to our kids that it's better to be a gift than to receive one.
mm,
And I used a cell phone to bring attention to this, to document it. And my entire goal for it was to really educate people about the various things that people experiencing homelessness have to go through.
wow.
That everybody isn't necessarily addicted to drugs or
Mm,
have a mental health issue. That some people lost a job or fled domestic violence or
mm,
lost a loved one or zeroed out the foster care system, right?
mm.
There are
Yeah.
so many nuanced ways that people end up in this plight, and that's how we started Love Beyond Loss.
Wow. That's incredible. How long did you end up staying on the street?
Yeah, it was a little over a month,
Oh my
and so
gosh.
yeah,
Wow. So I in college did like a weekend as if we were homeless a month. That's impressive. Well, to me, what was also impressive was just discovering just how many people have bought into what you're doing. You have an impressive list of sponsors. And was that Jennifer Hudson I saw is one of your advocates?
yeah, yeah. Jennifer Hudson, not the actual singer. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I have, I have a friend named Jennifer Hudson. She's always people joke with her about
Well, you can use that because I was even more impressed when I saw Jennifer Hudson
that.
on there. Well, that's really great. How did you go about getting so many people to support what you're doing? I mean, this is certainly an issue in all big cities. You're there in Atlanta, here in Austin as well. What did you do to help people start seeing those that we just drive by all the time and want to support you?
Right. I would just say we are really big on sharing stories. We're really big on every person has a story, and that story is deserving of respect and to be heard. Right. Oftentimes, when we think about this population, there is an invisibility. Like right now, we're currently dealing with this issue of social distancing. Right.
Hmm.
I don't really necessarily like to use that term. Um, I think what we're doing is physical distancing.
Mm,
We're staying apart from each other physically, but we're still very much encouraging people to remain social through means of like technology and some of the tools that we could stay social. with one another. The reason why I say that is because people experiencing homelessness have been dealing with social distancing by default
Mm,
long before the coronavirus, right?
yeah.
And so it's this process of how do we tell these stories in a way that is humanizing to the person, honoring to God, right? Honoring the imago Dei in this person, but also getting people to realize that we're all alike in some way, that we're all poor in some way, some materially, some immaterially, right? And without Christ rescuing us and providing for us and paying our debts, then we're all still impoverished spiritually. And so that's how we lean in with it. We tell the stories and we honor the Imago Dei in each and every person.
Wow. Well, part of what was really amazing to me, learning a little bit more about you at your website, which, if I remember right, is at lovebeyondwalls.org.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just really cool to read about the Dignity Museum. Tell us a little bit more about that. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So we launched Dignity Museum out of a shipping container, a 40-foot shipping container, a year ago this month. And it's an immersive experience where people can literally uh, go through these different scenarios via technology, VR, and storytelling to see what it's like on the other side of the experience of homelessness. And one of the driving factors that pushed us to create this empathetic experience was the very fact what we were just talking about. People are distant because they haven't heard the stories,
Mm,
and you can't hate someone up close, right? That's what Jesus was all about, being
mm,
proximate to people, and that's what we're hoping to do is model that, but leverage this resource or this tool to give people who have suffered, are currently suffering, and have actually overcome the opportunity to speak up for themselves, just to share people the different ways they've arrived in the plight of homelessness. So
wow.
that's Dignity Museum,
I
and it's
love it.
traveling around. We've traveled some too.
Wow. I love it. Well, tell me about your book. You have a book that's coming out, and it sounds like you might have even written another one as well. Tell us about the books you've written.
Well, yeah. I published a book with InterVarsity Press called "I See You: How Love Opens Our Eyes to Invisible People." That released last year, August 13th, 2019, and it's done really good. It walks people through a lot of the experiences that I detailed earlier in our conversation, and I just signed with them again to release another book. So I'm just now completing the first draft, and I'm really excited about this. This book will be all about collaboration and the power of coming together in the name of Jesus, right? To make a real difference outside the four walls of the church.
I love it. Well, that's fantastic. One final question. You
Yeah.
you alluded to some of what certainly folks who are without a home go through even before the coronavirus. How has this pandemic affected the people in Atlanta that you serve?
Yeah. So one of the fears that we keep hearing is the fear of contracting the coronavirus. And most times when we ask people, what's driving that fear, they'll simply share with us, because I don't have access to any water to wash my hands, right?
Mm.
Uh, you know, communities of faith are shut down throughout
Oh,
the
wow.
week
Yeah.
and on Sundays. Libraries are closed, which functions as a daytime shelter, a local information hub where people can use the internet, and also the library offers valuable resources. There are a lot of other um, places that are closed, and it leaves people without this ability to wash their hands. There
Yeah.
have been news reports saying that you have to wash your hands to protect yourself from the contraction and the spread of coronavirus. And
Mm.
so one of the initiatives that our organization is doing right now is called Love Sinks In. We basically have assembled portable hand washing stations. We've placed around 20 around the city where people can have
That's awesome.
access to be able to wash their hands. You know, it's not washing feet as Jesus per se, but it's washing hands. And we've kind of been inspired by uh, Jesus's lifestyle to push beyond those barriers, to take love beyond walls, literally.
Love it. Well, thanks for all that you do, Terrence, you and Cecilia. Lovebeyondwalls.org. And make sure you check out his book, I See You. Thank you so much, Terrence, for what you're doing, and keep it up.
All right, thank you, thank you.